live. Huzzah,
Hey.
Rangers.
Huzzah, baby. We're live, apparently.
We're live. We did not have an intro, so this is the first time that that's ever happened. Let me know in the chat, guys, if you're actually seeing this right now. We're just gonna roll with it, baby. That is
We
so
went
strange.
to go live. We were live.
We were live. We were already live. So this episode is sponsored by Inkify. Custom printing and embroidery since 2010, Inkify provides high-quality decorated apparel nationwide. From ordering the apparel to printing, adding a private label, folding, bagging, and fulfillment, they handle it all, so you don't have to. Head over to Inkify.com to get started on your order and tell them TJRS sent you, and that will get you 15% off. I am joined this evening with Double D. That is Diamond Dave. How the hell are you?
I am doing all right, Phil. Doing all right. How are you doing?
Pretty good. We've got The Crown this weekend.
That's
and I'm
right.
not talking about the stuffy show on Netflix. I'm talking about the NOLA Gold. And it's going to this is it. This is the big one, folks. This is a potential Eastern Conference final approaching. It's going to be wild. I'm so excited. Of course, the Free Jacks have to go down there. It's really humid right now in New England. The next 2 days kind of suck in terms of weather, but these people down there experience this like 4 months out of the year. And that's going to be the conditions down there in New Orleans at the gold mine on airline, as they call it. Yeah,
that's right.
It's going to be sticky. It's going to be 92 degrees that day and like 65% humidity. Not great. So I'm glad that I'm not going to be there. I know that Kenny, I think he's putting some feelers out there for folks to identify themselves that are actually going to be down there. I'm assuming that he will be there. He's the road warrior for the Expeditionary Forces of the 1st Regiment that are marching down to New Orleans. They're going to have to dodge some gators, quicksand, and humidity this weekend. This is now my top destination in MLR. I'm trying to mark every single one off of the list. And this one is a big one for me, but I'm not going until next year if it's early in the season. I'm not crazy, man. I might be stupid, but I ain't crazy. Let's just say I'm tempted to do it now, but I look at that weather forecast and I'm just like, no, it's not for me. I've played with fate twice this season, going to DC around this time of year and Miami, and both of those were mild. And it was this is just a whole different monster down there. Those people, woo! I just cannot imagine. So no, thank you. Fingers crossed for an early away trip. Like I said, next season to NOLA, because that's going to be my dream away trip, I think, for next year. I want us to get down to Utah as well. So we'll see if that works out as well. What's your thoughts on what's your dream away trip? If you had one for next season, like I know that you've been to New York. But where else would you like to go?
Oh, man. Utah is really up there for me, actually. Houston as well, but again, early in the season, man. Same. I'm not about to go down there and sit in some 95-degree rugby match. I'm not about that life. That's not fun. No, but I think Houston is just really cool. Having a purpose-built stadium is so unique.
Yes.
And I would really like to check that out. And then Utah, just a beautiful place. Yeah. How do you pass that up when you can watch a rugby match with those mountains right behind
100%,
you?
100%.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks like we are live, Dave. We didn't get an intro, but people are here with us, which is always exciting. We got Ranger Horkin and also Bozo6 have entered the chat, which is great news. We thought we were having some technical difficulties. We thought we had some DC hackers trying to take over the live stream, but we've kicked them away. Taking a quick look at the standings here, the Beast of the East, your mighty New England Free Jacks, remain in first place in the Eastern Conference, 50 table points with a point differential of 96. NOLA are surging in second place in the Eastern Conference right now, having also secured a playoff spot, 43 table points and a point differential of 54, which is not bad at all. At the beginning of the season, I felt like they were kind of floundering around. They didn't have a great start, if I'm recalling correctly. I might have not picked them to make the playoffs. I don't necessarily recall. I feel like it's been a long time ago at this point. But, we like to make fun of them. We've poked fun at them for years about missing the playoffs. But, they've taken this personally, man. Like, they have gone out and built up a squad with their GM there, Fitzy down there, that they can be proud of, a team that is very, very good. I wanted to mention the playoff watch real quick. Per Ranger Mark, the magic number is now 4 table points. The Jacks need 4 points in their last 2 games to clinch the #1 seed in the East for home field advantage. The remaining 2 games are NOLA away and cannon fodder Charlotte at home. Healthcare RFC, we wish them well. But obviously, if you're anybody who's anybody, you want to. Our destiny's in our own hands right now, which is exactly what you want in a playoff race. But you want to get it done now, even though we know that Charlotte has not won a single game all season. Might as well get it out of the way now. Obviously, it's a tough test on the road against a very, very good opponent. But ideally, let's wrap it up so we don't have to worry about it against Charlotte. We've talked about how the possibility of resting some guys against that Charlotte squad, but keep in mind, as Colonel Kenny mentioned to us in the comments, not live, but after the broadcast last week, there's going to be that cushion of the international break. So some of our guys will be playing in those games. Obviously, we've got a lot of Canadian internationals. We've got Mitch Wilson, Ironman Mitch Wilson, who's a USA Eagle, who's a part of that squad. We've got 2 guys, Toby Fricker, and Caleb Geiger, who's in the reserves. They could be potentially called up for those tests, depending on injuries and whatnot. So it's something to think about. You just wonder, but the first thing that's right in front of you, I'm sure they're focused right now completely on this tall task of beating NOLA in New Orleans. Let's see here. NOLA have beaten Anthem. We wish them well. Dallas, Seattle, Utah, and the LA Dickheads. They've split the series with Miami. Chicago lost to us earlier in the season at Fort Quincy. They've lost to Houston, DC, and San Diego. So it's a bit of a mixed bag about who they've beaten. Dallas is a playoff squad. Seattle's a playoff squad. The other 2 teams, Utah, LA, split the series with Chicago, good squad. Lost to Houston, San Diego, and DC. All 3 of those squads looking like they're going to easily make the playoffs based on what's taking place, although Miami is kind of circling the water. I don't know if they're fully out of it quite yet. It'll be interesting to see. But NOLA have finally gotten over the hump. They've secured the first ever playoff berth. One of the original franchises, NOLA Gold, had never made the playoffs, but finally took that hashtag no playoffs NOLA tag personally by picking up some good players in the offseason. They kind of started this process 2 years ago with moving away from domestic players. I mean, they still have those guys. Of course, they try to build up through the draft, which is very noble. But they brought in some ringers, man, and they've got a good squad, including a Free Jacks cast-off, Taniela Filimone, who's having one hell of a season down there in Cajun Company, was not retained by the Free Jacks, was eventually early in the season traded to NOLA and has just been on a tear ever since. Let's not forget about fan favorite Dougie Fife is still patrolling in the fullback area down there. I've said this every single time we played them since he's been there. At some point, Dougie Fife is going to have a monster game against the Free Jacks. If you guys recall, at Fort Quincy last time, he kind of pissed down his leg or shot the bat a little bit with that bounce of the ball. And then, of course, Red Rocket launched himself, landing on it and making Dougie Fife look a little silly. But, I mean, he's still a great player. You know what I mean? Like, so versatile. The only ever Free Jacks player to having scored a try in the Six Nations. Just an incredible pedigree. Great player, great guy as well. Spends his time in the offseason still in Boston. His roots run deep here in the Boston area now with Mystic River. All of that fun stuff. There's an old hatred as well that I haven't mentioned, at least during this episode yet, regarding the NOLA Gold. They're not just a punching bag because they've never made the playoffs prior to this season. Let's rewind all the way back, Dave, to 2021. There was a home game at Fort Union Point, and NOLA broke our hearts and dashed our playoffs hopes with an unlikely win that sent the Free Jacks spiraling out of control into the offseason without making the playoffs. Now, NOLA, of course, also didn't make the playoffs, but they stabbed us in the heart. And that's something that Rangers out there, the ones that have been around for a while, will never, ever forget. So what's your thoughts? Is this going to be the big easy game for the Free Jacks down there in New Orleans? I don't think so. What do you think, Dave?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there'll be anything too easy about it. They've got a solid roster. I mean, the number one guy I think of is their captain, Manny Tongawiya. The guy is a menace with ball in hand. He always seems to be rattling off some really solid runs. He's a dangerous, cleaner in that he can take a messy situation and just turn it into a big play for NOLA.
Right.
Ball on the deck kind of things where he's just a big threat. Somebody to keep your eye on. He'll be wearing the 7 jersey. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be a NOLA match if we didn't talk about if I didn't say Cam Dolan's disruptive in the lineout. So look for Cam Dolan, who's back and healthy again and going to be going on the Eagles tour as well.
Mr. Disruption.
Well, I guess it's not a tour we're hosting.
Yes.
But he's going to be in that Eagles squad. He's solid in the lineout. Wags back there is one of their draft guys, I believe. Another really good lineout option. Their set piece is very good. They've got a really good scrum, a really good lineout. It's part of what has powered their success this season. Mm-hmm. And they're on a really good tear. You got to go back to April 21st, I think, when they to get to the end of a string of losses. Mm-hmm. And then since then, they've only lost one match, and that's to Houston. They're
incredible.
They're really on a solid tear. So they've got a lot of momentum. They're going to have a lot of confidence. They're going to be at home. I think it's going to be a really close match.
I agree, man. These are two really good squads, and I'm excited to see this towards the end of the season here. It's a great preview, potentially, of a playoff matchup between these two squads. It's one of those things where, Bozo's throwing in the chat here, no playoffs, NOLA, no more. Bozo predicts them as one and done. That's an interesting thought. I mean, obviously we'll talk about that later on as the Free Jacks make their playoff appearance, and we'll see NOLA perhaps at some point. But is it a situation where the whole goal, obviously, with NOLA is to get into the playoffs, right? That is their number one goal. That is the monkey on their back. They finally slayed that dragon. Is all the juice out of the jar at this point? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, could there be indicators in this game when you're playing a very, very good Eastern opponent at your place where you've secured a playoff spot? That part is done. So we'll see how much they have left in the tank, not just physically, but I'm talking about mentally. If you're in a squad that the whole thing on the bulletin board is get your ass in the playoffs, right? How's this squad going to look? Do they have the culture within it to continue on beyond this point? Because the goal has been secured, right? If you're a NOLA Gold, player and organization, of course everybody's going to say, well, we want to win the championship. But the first goal, obviously, for them was to get into the playoffs. I don't know if that's the case for more experienced teams that have playoff appearances. Is that Seattle's? Is that San Diego's? Is that us? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. So we'll have to wait and see on that. I'm going to save Bozo's next comment because it's going to lead into my prediction, which I told Dave prior to going live. This is the first time ever that I didn't write down a score. I always have my score already prepared. I didn't know what to put here, guys. Honestly, I think this one is a very, very confusing matchup for me. Not in like a man-to-man sense. It's just like we're on the road. It's the end of the season. We need it to get that first place, but we still have a game left over that we assume will be a victory at Fort Quincy. It's tough to assume, but we know who we're playing at that point. Yeah. So it's all very curious. I'm going to go to Lee, key of the game real quick, and I'll let you go first.
My key to the game is set piece consistency.
Ooh.
NOLA have a good scrum lineout, like I mentioned. We're going to need to really tune ours up, which has been positive. It's very good against DC. It's pretty dang good against Utah as well. A couple errors, not perfect, but good. Better than it has been when we were critical of it, right? pumping those numbers up. Those success rates are just going up week to week, which is what we want to see. But that's going to need to continue, and it's going to get harder to keep it ticking up because it's getting better. You know what I mean?
Totally.
We really need it dialed in. And so I think that we're going to need to take the opportunities we get. I doubt we're going to get a whole bunch of really great attacking platforms inside their 22. They're a pretty good team. They're going to manage territory. They're just not going to give us that many opportunities. So
sure.
we can't be pissing them away. We're going to have a solid line out when we have those options, those penalties that we kick deep, and we're going to need to have good scrums that can give whoever, whether it's Cam or Martine at the back or Cam or Holden at 9, like whoever it is that's playing it off that back of that scrum, they need a good platform. I think if we can do that, we're going to have a good day.
Listen, I think it's a really, really good key to the game because this is something we're facing a very good opponent away from home towards the end of the year. We've seen improvements with the set pieces, scrums looking better, lineouts looking better. This is a real test. As you're saying, Mr. Disruption is there and healthy. We're assuming that he's going to be selected. Cam Dolan will cause problems for the Free Jacks in the lineout area, 100%. His presence is just a problem. So I'm curious to see what takes place. I will let you know that my key to the game is beat the heat. And I'm not just talking about the temperature, baby. This is a tough, tough test away from home, once again, for our Free Jacks, a potential matchup for a Eastern Conference final. Bozo is not having any of that. Basically, Bozo saying another first for NOLA this year was a dub over Rugby ATL. Now the dickheads, Team of Destiny, they stank, one and done. So it's one of those things where it hasn't been shuffled out completely, but they're good enough. If they can get it together, we might see them at Fort Quincy in the very end to punch our ticket potentially to a final. So I just want everybody to know out there that it's all about pressure right now. This team's going to cause pressure with our set pieces. The weather's going to put pressure on our fatigue and stamina out there. And now's the time for the Free Jacks to rise to the occasion. We're on a win streak. You love to see it. A little bit of confidence here with everybody involved. You just want to put your best foot forward and beat the heat. All right. Prediction time. And you know what? I'm just going to go first here. I don't have anything written down. It's just going to come up in my head here. Our mighty New England Free Jacks can secure the #1 seed with a win on the road against a very good NOLA side who are still mathematically in the hunt for the #1 seed as well, technically speaking. Scott Matthew is a competitive mofo with a team of competitive mofos that have been road warriors this year. We've lost 2 games on the road, maybe 1 at the most. That's better than our home record, folks. That means that we're road warriors all season long. This has been a consistent theme. We played really well on the road. Let's not forget the only team that has beaten the world beaters, that is the SaberCats down there in Houston, are the Free Jacks on the road when almost nobody gave them any chance of winning, except for the show, of course. This is going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a slobber knocker. I've got a 1-point victory for the Free Jacks, and that 1 point, I'm going to say it's going to be 27-28, New England Free Jacks winning. And the reason why, the only thing that gets us over the line, once again, is the hashtag Curse of the Vampire, 6-0 against NOLA since acquiring Holden Youngert, who has yet to be on the losing side of this fixture. Dave, what do you got?
Phil, our scores are so very close. I have New England 29.
Ooh.
NOLA 26.
Wow.
We have pretty similar points allowed this season.
Yep.
If you look, and tries allowed, if you look, our defenses are pretty comparable, but what has pushed New England ahead is we've been able to score more points than NOLA has. And all I did to get my numbers, I did some very fancy math where I just averaged their points across the games played for the 2 teams. And we've averaged 29, they've averaged 26, roughly. So that's what I'm going with for this week, 29-26.
It's going to be an electric game. Everybody, make sure you're tuning in to the watch along as well, because Bozo 6 and friends, including me, will be at the watch along this
making
weekend.
An appearance at the Granite Bunker.
Yes,
Phil, I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, man.
Will you be at the Granite Bunker for the watch along this weekend?
You're damn right.
Oh my!
I sure as hell am not going to be in New Orleans, so I might as well be at the Granite Bunker. There's no better place to view a Free Jacks watch along than the Jacks Rangers show. If you're watching the game on FS2, I believe it was announced as, turn that commentary down. Probably it's going to suck to begin with, and number two, they're not Free Jacks fans. So listen to Bozo and myself, and maybe some special guest appearances. Give you some nice, ear blessings, if you will.
Ear blessings.
Yeah.
Some ear blessings raining down on you from the Granite Bunker.
That's it.
I love it.
Okay. Any final thoughts here from the comments? I did want to put up Gary DeWitt's. It's 31-14. Jesus, Jacks, of course, on top. That is a one. I love the confidence, Gary. I would be ecstatic. I will be doing backflips at the Granite Bunker if that's the case.
Yeah.
Bozo throwing in Free Jacks go off. Jacks 48, NOLA 24.
Damn, that's like what I'm predicting for Anthem. Actually, not, because they're not going to score 24 points. But I was thinking earlier, I was like, probably 50 for Anthem. That feels, we'll see when we get there. But
100%. The NOLA Gold commentary team is the worst in MLR in all caps from Bozo.
I'm not going to throw any stones from my glass house, but they are certainly a common subject of
And by
discussion.
the way, we're not claiming that we're better. We're just acknowledging that they're the worst. Gary DeWitt, ear candy. Yes. I was thinking something else that I was not going to say, so I'll just leave that where it is. They are worse than Healthcare RFC. Love that, Bozo. Yes. Man. So there you go.
We're vamping. We didn't mention Fozzie. I'll mention Fozzie now. He backpack tackled Paul Lasike at one point. And I was like, yeah, hell yeah. You got to bring that guy down. It was great. He was, second guy there, kind of made sure everything went. It was good.
You kind of have to have a little bit of help bringing that big guy down.
I don't know if he's done that before. Maybe he's tackled Paul Lasike before, but I would, just mathematically, it's probably the first time he's tackled that big old dude.
Cannonball, yeah.
Yep.
For sure. All right. I've got a couple things to say here. Beat NOLA. Saddle up. Let's ride. And 3, 2, 1. Huzzah!
Huzzah!